Hey there, it's my first post-election video, and we're a week away from Thanksgiving, so we've got a lot to talk about. This is my series called One Bow, Many Arrows. It's bow and arrows branding, so this message is really for entrepreneurs and marketers out there, small business owners, creatives, really talking about kind of some of the issues that kind of get in our way, or stumbling blocks. And the one bow, many arrows metaphor is really that, we're the hunter in our lives, and our arrows are all of our choices. And our journey is kind of getting to where we want to be personally and professionally fulfilled, to have peace of mind, to reduce stress as much as we can. And on my podcast, I've been talking about I'm going over my favorite 12, personal and professional growth books. And so you can find that podcast on SoundCloud and on iTunes. It's One Bow, Many Arrows with Melina Lott. And today's video is inspired by a couple of things, maybe three things. So I'm calling it What Fresh Hell Is This? Not because I'm like pissed about the election. It's more like I was shocked, but also I think it was a huge wake-up call. And I talk so much about awareness and staying in the present moment and being open to others' ideas, being open to new experiences. And so this is a great time for us to do that, right? So we can say, whether you were for Trump or against Trump, it's still really a time to listen to the other side and to listen to, the needs and wants and desires of all people in the United States. I'm originally from a small town, a couple of small towns. Shattuck, Oklahoma is, I call it kind of like the armpit of Oklahoma, like right there. And then moved to Woodward, which is it was about 20,000 population, maybe a little less now. But, it's a lot of working class, a lot of oil and gas driven. I loved growing up there, loved graduating from Woodward High School, really great friends, really successful friends. My class has gone on to do lots of wonderful things, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, you name it. But it's really interesting when the media started talking about, the rural mentality versus urban, and it's like, and it's the black and the white and the gay and the straight and the da-da-da. And the thing is, America is a melting pot. And so we've got to figure out how we're all going to get along. And for those of you who believe that, this new election term is a fresh hell, then just understand that there are a lot of Americans that felt like the last 8 years were fresh hell for whatever reason, for whatever circumstance they were in. Whether they were a farmer or they were wealthy and felt like they were getting gypped, or someone was being overtaxed, or whatever the thing is. Like, we've all got our stuff. And so the second thing that prompted this message today is that a friend of mine, also from Woodward High School, had kind of did a confessional, really, on Facebook on something that happened in his personal life. And it was really, that was him being very vulnerable. So we talked about it in one of my podcasts. I reviewed Brene Brown's book, Daring Greatly, and she talks about the importance of vulnerability. But the reason that's important, that not that everybody has to use, social media as a confessional. For me, it's just confess it to yourself, to your loved ones, like be honest with what's really going on, that you're not repressing it, that sort of thing. Same thing with your business, how your business is going, what you're liking, what you're not liking, where you want to go. At the end of a year is, of course, the perfect time to review what worked, what didn't work in this year. And so that's kind of where we are in the whole political scheme too. So lots of changes are going to come. Lots of changes are going to come in your life as well, as this new year approaches. And so, not only did I admire his vulnerability, but I messaged him and I said, you have undergone a cycle of suffering. It's kind of like, it's one of those things where some of us, we experience hell. Like, I would say I've been to hell maybe 4 times in my life that were kind of the big traumatic things that altered, who I was, my belief in the world, that kind of thing. They change you, right? So for some of us, that's like, for me, starting when I was 4 years old was the first one. And then, all the way to, 2 years ago. So, but for some people, that cycle is, all mushed up. It's like one after another. For some reason, they could have had a real easy life, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. And that was kind of the case with this guy. And so the thing is, and he realized that it is a cycle and that it's going to end and a new cycle will emerge. So even though you don't know, it's like you just feel like you've, made it through the jungle on your journey here as the hunter, and you've just gone through and you've survived the bears and the tigers and the natives and whatever your conflict is, and then suddenly something else happens, but then eventually you get through it, right? And you go, wow, I survived, and you are stronger for it. And so another thing on my blog that I want to share is an article I read this morning, and he was talking about hell, meaning hell on earth, the suffering that we go through, and just how much we really, really grow from it. And so to see kind of the positive side of going through that. And so I'd like for us to keep that in mind as we enter this, a new presidency and a new year. And I'm going to share Eyes Wide Open by Norina Hertz, one of my very, very favorite books, How to Make Smart Decisions in a Confusing World. And of course, our decisions are our choices, which are our arrows in this metaphor. And so that'll be my next podcast. So I think I'm going to record that this afternoon. And lots of cool changes in my life as well. Got engaged recently, and so doing all that planning for a spring wedding, and it's really exciting. So that's a new chapter in my life. And if you all need some assistance, some bow and arrows branding, I would love to help you. You can, whether that's a 1 hour wake up to wonder meeting with me. It could even be a chat over video or a phone call. And so let's discuss that. You can reach me on my contact form on melinalaw.com. I'm going to talk more about kind of this visiting hell on earth and how we get through that. And I hope that you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's I know Thanksgiving itself, the holidays can be super stressful, especially if you have issues with family members, or if you have recently lost a loved one, or if you've recently gotten divorced. Just a whole bunch of different, or again, the whole Trump Hillary thing. If you have family members that are opposed and are real, want to try to engage you in that, just remember that you are in charge. It's your choice whether or not you engage or what you say, respond, and how you're going to feel about that. So I will see you guys soon. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.